all good?
I am all good.
Coach, all good?
Yes, sir.
All right, sounds good. All right, let's rock and roll. Okay, so we are here with FIU football head coach Willie Simmons for this week's pregame media availability, looking ahead to the matchup with Western Kentucky on Tuesday. Coach, just an opening statement, and then we'll open it up to the room for some questions.
Be quick statement, but good to see everyone. Obviously, we're in midweek Conference USA action now, so my first taste of that. Got to actually watch some games last night, so that was exciting. Again, guys are excited about getting back to playing good football. That's really been the message, really since we got back from Connecticut. Told them after the game. I use a lot of boxing analogies with the guys. I love the sport. If you're going to be in a boxing match fighting someone, it's really hard to beat them if you're using one of your hands to punch yourself. And so we got to stop beating ourselves and see what type of football team we can truly be. And we've shown that at times this season. At times against FAU, obviously the first game, first half against Penn State. We've shown that we can be a really, really good football team. Just far too often, self-inflicted negatives, or the sins as we call them. So just this week has really been about getting back to the basics, getting back to fundamentals, alignment, communication, assignments. Way too many missed assignments the last 2 weeks. The most we've had all season have been the last two games. And typically you try to ascend towards your peak, and we've descended in that regard. So we shouldn't be having more missed assignments. We should be having less. And the fact that we're having more the last couple of weeks, I think is indicative of a few things. And so we've had to address those things. Starts with us as coaches, making sure that we're giving them a scheme that they can execute. It goes to them of buying into that scheme and really putting in the work to learn what we're doing and learn our opponents. And then just creating the habits so that when we get in the game, it's not foreign to us. We still have a lot of guys that haven't played a ton of football, but we have to get to the point after 5 weeks that game day isn't something foreign. And if you don't train yourself that way to practice as if it's game day, you will have that anxiety. You will have those moments when you get into the game that you think you have to do more than what you're accustomed to doing. So the more our guys buy into that, I think the better off we'll be. But I have been pleased with the work that we put in the last few days. And, again, looking forward to another great week of preparation. And, we've got to go up to Bowling Green and take on a very, very tough Western team. Probably been the class of the league the last 6 years. Coach Helton's the elder statesman of the conference. I think he's the only coach in the conference that's been at his program more than 3 seasons. And so, in a turnover league, so to speak, as far as coaching turnover and player turnover, they've been the one consistent one. So again, it's going to be a challenge for us to go on the road. We have not won on the road all season, so this will be a great opportunity for us to get a W in the column on the road, which will go a long way in us accomplishing our goal. But the beauty of it is we're still in control of our own destiny, and the longer we can stay in that position, the better. So looking forward to a great week and a great game, and hopefully we get to show America, who will be watching, what type of football team we're capable of being.
Coach, when you took lights out of that last game, was that performance-driven or was that injury?
It was due to injury. He tweaked his ankle, and he could have gone back in the game, but at that point, why risk it? So we've obviously as a staff talked a lot about our struggles offensively the last few weeks. And naturally, because of the nature of the position, the blunt of the blame is going to fall on the quarterback's lap. That's the reality. Lights and I talked about that when I first got here. Obviously, I played quarterback. I've been in his shoes where you lose a game and it's all on the quarterback's shoulders. He turned the ball over twice. We didn't throw a touchdown pass for the third game this season. And so on the outside looking in, he's not playing good football. Well, he started the game 11-12. And when you throw a swing on 3rd and 7 against double-edged pressure, any defensive coordinator in America cringes because they don't have a chance to peel because the back was already out of the backfield. We're 4-on-2 with the ball in KJ Owens' hand, our best player on offense. And we don't get the first down because we lose leverage. We stop our feet, and it forces KJ to have to cut back into auto pursuit. Should have been a first down. We throw a couple of screens out on the perimeter in tempo. It's 3 over 1, 3 over 2, and the receiver, instead of catching the ball, pressing the sideline like we teach them to, and getting us 5, they catch it, pause, or catch it and run inside to all the pursuit. And plays that should be first downs, definitely, possibly explosives, end up being 2-yard gains, and it puts us behind the chains. And so my message to the coaching staff, to the team, was yes, of course Keewan has to play better, but I got to coach better. Everybody, we all have to play better and coach better. So if we sit there and say it's all in the quarterback, well, that takes the responsibility and accountability off everybody else. We had 42 missed assignments on defense, 29 on offense. The quarterback didn't have 29, okay? He didn't play one snap of defense. And so 2 busted coverages that resulted to 60-yard touchdowns, missed tackles, misalignments, missed IDs up front in the run game. Again, not getting up the field on pass routes. None of that's on the quarterback. And so Lights understands that, yes, he has to operate within the offense better. He has to make better decisions with the football. He has to protect it. We can't give it up. But for us to play the football that we need to play, it's going to take all 11, not just the quarterback. And I think that's the resounding message to this football team. Accountability is everyone taking ownership, not looking at the play caller, not looking at the quarterback. The guys that the media and the fans are going to look at, because that's just the nature of major college football. But everybody within this organization, from the travel squad to the Devo squad that's giving us looks on during the week, have to commit themselves to playing better. And if we do that, again, we have the talent to get it done. So not to take any blame off Lights. He has his fair share of responsibility, just like the rest of us do. But we have to help him. We have to help him so that when he's right, the play works. It can't be a breakdown at another position when he does the right thing. Now, we have to challenge him to do the right things more than not. And when he does that consistently, he can be the type of quarterback that's warranted the accolades that he's gotten. But overall, as a football team, we have to play cleaner. As a coaching staff, we have to make sure that we're putting the right people in the right positions to be successful. And far too often at times this season, we have not done that. And again, none of those things are on the quarterback. So again, not to take any blame off of him, but all the blame isn't on number one.
And I want to know, and a couple more, Kevin, I'll let you jump in, but I do want to know, and I know we want to know about players of other positions, but just to follow up on that point, did you open up to Joe or Chance in practice? Is that something, or to try to beat him out in practice, or it's Light's job at this point? Because there are 4 turnovers the last 2 games.
Right. Well, again, Joe turned it over twice when he got in the game, right? So again, we had 5 turnovers in the game. 2 was Keewan. Tay fumbled, and Joe threw 2 picks. And so we got to protect the football. But to answer your question, no, we're not opening up a quarterback competition right now. Keewan Jenkins is our starting quarterback. It's our job to figure out what it is that he does well and put him in positions to do that. It's the people around him job to do their job at a high level to make sure that when he is getting the ball to the right place on time, accurately, that the play is successful. And too many times this season, that hasn't been the case. That football is just that sport. That's why I love it so much, that it's that sport where it takes all 11 guys, especially on offense, to do it right. All 11. Because if the protection's great, if the drop is great, if he throws a perfect ball, and the receiver is supposed to run a 14-yard route, but he runs a route at 12, it's an incompletion. Like, that's football, right? If it's all blocked right, the quarterback reads it right in a read play, and the running back misreads the head of the defensive lineman, instead of being an explosive run, it's a tackle at the line of scrimmage. And so that's why the sport means what it means to me. It forces you to be accountable. Like, there's nowhere to hide in football, because when that film is turned on, it films all 11 guys. And so, again, Keewan right now has the same opportunity every week that all our other guys do to prove, or not prove, but to practice in a manner that gives him a chance to be successful. And he's done that. He's practiced really well. Joe has practiced really well. Other guys at other positions have practiced well. Now the challenge is, how do we take those positive practice reps and translate them to the game? That's what we have to get to. And so Keewan understands that his number one priority within this offense, just like everybody else, is to protect the ball. Because if he can go out there and win a game for us, phenomenal, great, right? Go out there and play like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or Pat Mahomes or Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I sat there and watched the Monday Night Football game with Kansas City and Jacksonville. You're looking at two elite quarterbacks that whoever had the ball last with enough time was going to win the game. Those are two of the top probably 7 quarterbacks in the NFL. One's probably going to go down as the GOAT when it's all said and done. And so if you have the luxury of having a guy like that, yeah, you can maybe make some mistakes somewhere else. We don't have that luxury. And I love Keywan, but he ain't Pat Mahomes, right? And so he doesn't have to go win the game. He just can't lose it for us. And that's the same message with everybody else. If we don't beat ourselves, we have a chance to win every game. But if he's turning the ball over, if he's missing reads, if he's late with throws, then he's beating us. At that point, his job's in jeopardy. We haven't seen that enough to suggest that we need to consider making a change. If the turnovers continue, if the missed assignments continue, then that's another conversation. But at this current moment, he hasn't made enough egregious errors to where we feel like we need to make a change.
Lastly, I want to know, Coach, about the injuries. It was very concerning. I want to know about Dwight's status, Blades, Sterling, and Julius Pierce. As far as I know on my list, there's a bunch of guys. If you can tell us about those guys.
Yeah, the only one that's out definitely it will be Nunu, and it's a concussion. So I know it was graphic. First play of the game, 20 to 30 minute stoppage. It's one of the the downsides to this sport, right? That everyone in attendance, everyone watching, gets that realization that this is a sport where you can get hurt really, really, really bad. Okay. Last night I got a phone call. My son is 8. He's playing tackle football. It ain't my choice, it's my wife's choice, so we're going to blame her for this one. Right? But she called last night. Well, my son's best friend dislocated his elbow. Got tackled, tried to brace his fall, dislocated his elbow. So 8 years old, he got his first break. Right? I was blessed. I played the whole game my whole life, never had a break, anything bad happen, no tears or whatever. But at 8 years old, my son has to see his best friend's arm broken, right? And now he's questioning, I don't know about this. Right? But this is what we sign up for. It's football, right? At times you can get hurt playing this game. But thank God that, and it's crazy we say it was only a concussion. Of course, concussions are a serious deal. Obviously, we don't take those lightly. But given the graphic nature of it, concussion was the best case scenario. And so, he'll enter concussion protocol, customary. When his symptoms subside, then he'll enter his 5-day return to play. If he wakes up today, and I hadn't checked yet, we'll have a staff meeting later this afternoon, but if AK walks in today and says Nunu came in and reported no symptoms, he'll play next week because he starts his 5-day return to play. And so we're not optimistic that'll happen, but it could. And so he'll be back, if not next week. We're feeling really good about the week after. Lights will be fine. He's practiced. Julius will be fine. He's old. He's an old man. I mean, he's at that point where he's just banged up. He's got those old man injuries with knees and ankles and those type of things. But nothing structurally is torn or broken, so he'll be fine. Shamir, again, optimistic, extremely optimistic that hamstring will be good enough to go next week. And then the same thing with Deuce. He and Shamir have both done some individual, but we're being really cautious because obviously we don't want to rush them back in practice and then set them back. So it sounds weird because today is Thursday. We don't play until Tuesday, so in actuality today is Monday to us. So it's Monday, and we got 5 more days to prepare before we got to play. So hopefully by the time we get on the plane Monday to head up to Bowling Green, both those guys feel good enough to go. Out will probably be Nunu, and then Kanai Smith is in the same boat. Both those guys are in concussion protocol. Everybody else is limited at the most. With a lot of them is go as tolerated, which Julius right now will be go as tolerated. As much as he can handle the pain in practice, he'll go. But if we had to strap it up and play today, he'd tough it out and he'd play.
Juju's off. He'll play.
Juju's done for the year. Yeah, he's done for the year. Yeah.
Just talk about Western. What stands out about their offense specifically? It seems like it's very explosive and have pretty good targets out there. Just what stands out?
Yeah, I mean they've done a great job over the years of just reloading their quarterback, reloading their wide receiver. So they're very talented in the passing game. Really going to challenge you on the back end. quarterback's a veteran guy. I think he's another 6th or 7th year guy. So seen a lot of football, played a lot of football. Hard to give him looks that he hadn't seen before, and he understands the scheme. And so they're going to challenge our secondary to be disciplined. And again, the O-line's going to challenge our D-line. We have to find a way to get after them. Now, we had 3 sacks last week, so we've shown that we can get after the quarterback a little bit up front. We got to be able to maintain that. But we got to clean some things up on the back end. You cannot bust coverages against this group because much like last week, they'll make you pay in a major way. And so obviously having Deuce and Shamir back helps. You got 2 guys that have started for us that understand what we're doing. But in the event that they don't go or can't go, the other guys got to step up. You know, Amon Wallace, Websley, G7, like Bobby Sala. Like those guys have to, play good football. And again, don't get us beat. They're going to make plays. Make no mistake about it. They're a good football team. They're going to make plays. But I give the defense the same message that I've given every defense that I've ever coached. Make them snap it again. Just make them snap it again. If they have an explosive, great. They're going to make some plays. They're going to hit some deep balls on pass plays. They may pop a run here and there. Just get the ball on the turf. Last week, they threw a 4-yard route into the flat to the running back, and it went for 65. Cannot happen. We bust the coverage and don't get to the middle of the field, and they throw a seam ball right down the middle of the field where there's literally supposed to be a defender standing right in the middle of the field. So if that guy's there, it's either interception or the quarterback sacked because Kenton Simmons was there. He was right there. And as he threw the ball, he got hit by Kenton. So if that guy has to go through a progression and not see a guy running wide open, we probably get a sack in 2 minutes. But instead, we got a 60-some-yard touchdown in 2 minutes. So we gave up 17 points in less than a minute and a half. 2 of them were on 60-yard plays where the ball should be down for a 5-yard gain or a sack by the quarterback. So we got to get, again, the same message. We can't beat ourselves. We can't bust coverages. We can't miss tackles in the open field. We got to give ourselves a chance to do those things. So, again, having Deuce and Shamir, I think, helps. But all in all, whoever's out there, you got to play like a starter. And if we do that, I think we give ourselves a chance against a pretty explosive offense.
I guess without Blaze, just what have been your impressions of the cornerbacks you've seen?
I think Vic's played really good football. He's competed. Everybody gets beat. Deion Sanders won't say it, but he got beat, every now and then. So, but Vic has played really good ball. We need to get more out of Ashton. Ashton's way too talented to not give us more on the back end. That 65-yard pass to the running back in the flat. Linebacker didn't travel with the back. We were in man coverage, but Ashton got to get the ball down. He saw it thrown, could have made a play on it, didn't. Josiah took a terrible angle, but Ashton has to get that ball down. And so he can play better because of his talent level. And if he didn't have the talent, we wouldn't say that, right? The old saying, to whom much is given, much is required. He's probably the fastest guy on the back end, twitchy, got great length, can catch the ball. So he's got to give us a little more. I think we got to get G7 wrapped up a little bit more. He's playing really good football lately. And so just having the confidence to get him in more in some of our nickel and dime packages on passing downs. But I feel good about the cornerback spot. Hopefully we get Deuce back. Obviously he's our bell cow back there. But in the event that he can't go or he's limited, those 3 guys gotta carry us. And talent-wise, they can do it. We just gotta coach them up, give them something they can handle, and allow them to go out there and play fast.
City Western is second to last in the conference in rush defense. Just how much, obviously, Cage has been super important, but how much more important will he need to make sure you guys, get those explosive plays against the defense?
It's critical. When you play a prolific offense, especially one that throws the ball around as much as they do, you gotta possess the football. And running the football is the best way for us to possess it. And so KJ's played really well this season. I think he's popped explosive runs every game. And so we got to continue that. But we got to be consistent up front as well. I watched all of our run cut-ups from the game last Saturday. Whenever we put a hat on the hat, we had an explosive run, or we had a run of 6 or more every single time, right? There were a couple of third downs where they loaded the box and tried to force us to throw it. But on base normal downs, we could have run for easily 250 yards on those guys. But we mis-ID'd. We stayed on. We didn't come off double teams to second level defenders. We didn't own the perimeter in the blocking game out wide, right? So we have to do those things because if we do it, we have arguably the best back in the conference, one of the best in the country. And so a game like this, we got to ride KJ, right? A quarterback's best friend is a strong run game. And for us to be able to turn around, hand the ball off to KJ, to AC, to Tay, that opens things up for lights to be able to push the ball down the field. And so we're definitely going to go in running the football. They know that. We know that. And that's why we start every Tuesday, which is tomorrow for us, with team run. There ain't no RPOs, there ain't no reads. We're going to turn around and hand the ball off. Defense knows it's coming, and they got to try to stop it. And for us, we got to turn next Tuesday into inside drill. We got to run the football. Even when they know it's coming, we got to be able to turn around and hand the ball off and get positive yardage, and that'll open up things for us in the passing game. So KJ's critical part of our success, but the O-line, the tight ends, the receivers on the perimeter, the quarterback making the right read is just as important.
Maybe just one or two more questions for Coach.
Yeah, Coach, what are your expectations for FIU's offensive line against a Western Kentucky defense that has the second least amount of sacks in Conference USA right now when it comes to getting time for Q1 in the pocket?
I mean, my expectation for them is the same as everybody else. Be excellent, right? Prepare to be excellent. And so, we have talent up front. We have size up front. So we should be able to control the line of scrimmage. And that's a challenge to those guys. That's a challenge by me, by Coach Coleman, by Patter, amongst each other, themselves. I mean, most great run teams have really good offensive lines. I mean, you got a few teams who the running backs are just that dynamic that I don't know how good Boise State's line was last year, but probably why Ashton Jenner was a top 10 pick. But when we do right, like I said, when we get a body on the body, when we ID right, KJ rips off big runs. AC comes in and rips off big runs. And so the challenge for those guys is be consistent. That's the expectation. Be consistent, make the right calls, strain. Don't be content with just getting on the block. Strain to finish the block. Don't let your guy fall off late and make the tackle. And I think one of the resounding messages for this team after last week, the two of the fumbles that we had was caused by a defender who was blocked by somebody else at one point. That guy outstrained us to get to the ball carrier. So if we stay on that block for 1 second longer, they don't punch the ball out from Tay. They don't punch the ball out from Lights. And so, yeah, we got to protect the ball. But we got to strain to make sure that the only person that can make us fumble is the guy that's tackling us. And too often guys are coming from the side or from behind that's ripping the ball out. And that's a lack of strain by us. So we got to strain, we got to communicate, and we got to play to the level that we're capable of playing. If we do that, I think we'll be able to have a dominant rushing performance against these guys.
Aside from Alex Perry, who would you say has been the most impressive pass catcher thus far for FIU? And who are some names that you really want to see grow as far as what they can do on game days now that we get into the CUSA stretch of the season?
I mean, we've really been receiver by committee, so it's not one guy. I think they've all had spurts. Obviously, McGuire had a huge game against FAU. Kyle Manil has had some big catches. JoJo slowly started coming to his own as a pass catcher. Ross has made plays. And our tight ends have caught the ball, as well as our backs. I mean, if you look at our completions, I think every skill position has caught the ball multiple times. And so outside of Alex, I don't know if we have a guy that we got a feature in the pass game. Lights just got to get the ball to the right people, and it may be a catch and tackle, right? We may not have the most dynamic guy that can catch it, make the first guy miss, and do all those things. But we got guys that can get open, and we got a quarterback that can throw people open. So if we just do that and just move the chains and stay ahead of the chains, we'll be able to be an explosive offense. And that's all we're asking those guys to do. So we got to get Alex more involved because I think he is a guy that can be dynamic in that nature. But everybody else, we have to just get them to play at a high level and allow Lights and Joe, if need be, to get the ball to those guys in the right spots with the right timing and allow us to stay ahead of the sticks.
Cool. All set?
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you guys.
You good?
Yes, sir. Good. How y'all?
I'm doing well. Nick G, good? Okay, cool. All right, so we're here with Offensive Coordinator Nick Coleman for next week's matchup against Western Kentucky on Tuesday. Coach, just an opening statement, and then we'll open it up to the room for some questions.
Yeah, coming out of last week and last couple of weeks, guys have been doing a good job of going to work. We had a little extra time to prepare, heal up from the last couple of games. So just them being able to work and come back to work, put their head down and fight through some adversity we've been through. We tell them all the time, everything's not going to be sunshine and rainbows, right? So as the last couple of weeks went through, we've found out a lot about our team, a lot about how they bounce back, a lot about how the fight that we have in them, and we had some good practices leading up to this week. Excited about what's coming.
Coach, just piggybacking on what Coach Simmons was just talking about, the wide receivers, besides Barry, what's it going to take for one of these other guys or even as a collective to emerge a little bit and help more in the passing game?
Yeah, I think those guys have done a good job. They roll in. We play with tempo at times, so obviously you can't play the same 3 guys, same 2 guys, 75, 80 plays. So they do a good job of spelling each other coming back in. And I think there's going to be a time, just like it was a couple weeks ago with McGuire, where, we didn't go into the game saying McGuire's going to have a huge game versus FAU, but as the plays came to him, he made the plays, right? So we just emphasize our guys that when your number's called, to be ready, right? If you're in and your number's called and you're up and you're this in the read, you're number 1 in the read, number 2 in the read, and you're open and you got the opportunity to make the play. But those guys pressing at a high level, doing a good job of competing. Like Coach said with McGuire and JoJo and Kyle and Ross and some of those guys have been really showing up for us at practice and things like that. And receivers is different, right? Everybody wants the ball every play, right? But depending on what the read tells you, what the coverage is, what the play call is, whenever your number's called, you just got to be ready.
What are your thoughts on the transfer portal? I guess that's been ratified now that you're just going to have the 1 period. Does that make your job easier just with the 1 transfer portal?
Yeah, I just think now you got to compartmentalize your team at a little bit of earlier time. When you had the 2 portals, you could kind of have the first wave happen in December, and then especially with us as a new staff, we came in December, January, went through spring ball, and then had another wave of guys that come in. We especially offensive with Miggs, JoJo, Zaire, some guys that really helped us a lot. Carey, Anthony Carey. So we're not going to get that this year. So we just got the timetables moved up 6 months. So us as coaches, the past few years, especially kind of since the 2019, 2020 era, you never know. So they may change another rule tomorrow. We got to change it again. So, guys like me and Coach Simmons and some other guys that are on staff that have coached at some different levels of football, lower levels or bus leagues and kind of worked our way up, we're used to change. So, with the NCAA, whatever they decide tomorrow, we'll figure it out and roll with the punches. But I do think our time frame will have to be a little quicker, and maybe by December, January, y'all may have a little bit better team of what we're going to have the next year versus July, so we'll see. Maybe something will change before then too.
Just talking about Western Kentucky's defense, what stands out? It seems like they've had trouble stopping the run, but then you look at their passing defense, and it's, I think, second or third best in conference.
Yeah, really athletic at the DB position. Do a really good job, with their coverage schemes and their man coverage of you can tell they play versus a passing offense in practice. So if you think about what they go up against and practice every day, they throw it around pretty good, and they get a lot of work at that too. So, they got good solid D-line, good second level. So, we're excited about the challenge, excited about what's in front of us, excited to be able to play on TV and in front of everybody and all that stuff. So, the guys have been working hard, and we're excited.
I guess the UAB, you guys also had the midweeks, but just how has this been for you kind of transitioning to this schedule now?
Yeah, I have no idea what today is. To me, it's Monday, right? So whether or not, I ain't got a clue. I asked somebody, because I watched some games last night late when I got home. I was like, those games on? Like, yeah, it's Wednesday night. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. I thought it was Sunday night. So I get, you get all, as a coach, you're on what day are you at practice, right? Today's is a Monday for us. Tomorrow's a Tuesday, which I think tomorrow is Friday. Is that right? All right, so tomorrow's Friday, right? So all I know is for us, today's a Monday and tomorrow's a Tuesday. So no idea what anybody else in the world right now, what day they're thinking tomorrow is, but for us, it's Monday, tomorrow's Tuesday.
What have been the conversations with Keelan? The last 2 weeks, obviously struggling with just the turnovers, and it seems like he hasn't been able to really get it going.
Yeah, no, his attitude's been great dude, love him to death. So, you bring him in, just be honest with him. Us as quarterbacks, Coach Simmons is a quarterback, I'm a quarterback, we got quarterback room. This is what you sign up for, right? When things go good, 2 weeks ago I told him when things went good, man, everybody's coming up to you, loving on you, telling you the best thing ever, right? A couple things go bad, who they blame? They blame the quarterbacks, right? They blame, and that's what we signed up for. That's what I tell them. Like, it's what I signed up for, to be the coordinator here. It's what Coach signed up for, to be the head coach, right? We signed up for this, right? So within that, we're just have honest opinions about what we need to do to get better, and there's things that maybe it's in his control. There's things maybe wasn't in his control, but when it all comes down to it as quarterbacks, we bear that. But that's what we signed up for, right? So I tell them, that's why when things are good, everybody loves you, right? And things aren't going good, they're going to throw it on you. But that's what we signed up for in the room. But his attitude's been great. We're looking forward to the challenge we got coming up with Western Kentucky, but he's been in here working and trying to get any things that he's got from an improvement standpoint, trying to improve.
Talk a bit about the production from Keegan Owens and just truly what he really means in this offense, just in general.
Yeah, no, everything with us, we say with the quarterbacks, you drive the car, right? So you're in charge of driving the car, and everybody else has to do their job. You got your engine and your wheels and all that stuff, but you got to drive that thing. So from a decision-making standpoint and from things that for us to go, a lot of it lies in on the quarterback, right? Not many times do we simply usually just turn around and hand it to the running back and say there's not a read involved in it, there's not some type of check involved in it. So, within that, they're responsible for everything. I tell them when that ball hits your hands, man, you got all the hopes and dreams and livelihoods. A lot of people in that thing hit your hands. So within that, we're all growing and learning together, and, his best football's ahead of him. And I look forward to seeing what he does as conference play gets rolling.
Well, at the backup quarterback position, just talk about how Kaczynski has stood out compared to the other guys on tap in that quarterback.
Yeah, Joe's awesome. Like, Joe's going to be a heck of a coach one day. He's probably going to hire me one day when he's the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, in 20 years. So he's a big Eagles fan. But just coming out of that portal, right? So, again, we signed Joe in that second portal. So, with us being a new staff, we felt like we needed an older guy, a guy with that's mature, that's got some playing time under his belt to be in the room, to be able to push everybody, to be able to also make the younger guys grow up a little bit. And Joe's probably more mature than me at times, so it's good for us. But love him to death. He's perfect for what we needed. And like I said, man, he's going to be an unreal coach one day. Y'all going to see him in 20 years. You're going to look up and be like, man, I knew that guy, right? But he's a great football mind, great person, great for the program. And, having him in the room, having him in on the team, I think's really helped us a lot.
Western Kentucky's defense hasn't forced too many fumbles or interceptions
Mm-hmm.
so far this season. Just talk about the confidence for this offense to keep the ball secure in this game.
Yeah, last week's one of those deals. Things happen, right? An anomaly type thing, playing against a good defense, and then trying to press too much. I thought last week we were pressing a little bit on a couple things. So, just hitting the reset button, getting back to fundamentals. I know Coach probably talked about this week being a lot about getting back to fundamentals and making sure we understand what we're, when it all comes down to it, take care of the football, do your job, do your assignment, right, and strain till the whistle blows. And if we do that, we'll be fine, no matter who we play, right? We played against some really good teams, played against some really good defenses. And, if we got to worry about us and worry about getting back to fundamentals, worry about playing our style of football. And, as things goes, we, start off the season taking care of the ball really well. Last two games we've had a few things here and there that haven't went our way. So I think our guys understand that, yeah, man, it was this happened, that happened, bad things do happen. Everything's not perfect all the time. But just get back to work and get back to fundamentals. We'll clean that stuff up.
Kind of a fun question for you, Coach, but I know I see on your last season that you were at middle.
Mm-hmm.
You guys gave it to Western pretty good,
Yeah.
62-24.
Yep.
And there's a guy in the box scored, Cade Gilstrap,
Yeah.
49-yard rushing touchdown.
Yep.
Can you tell us about
I remember it. We're on the left hash. All right, we ran a power play, and we brought Gilstrap around to the field and gave it to him, and he took off running, and I'm pretty sure he's still running. Like when he took off and he got that ball, there was no chance. There was no chance. And so it was funny because Kenneth was a freshman, I was a senior, and so I wasn't near as good as Joe Bazansky, right? And I wasn't near as smart as him, but I was very similar. Like, everybody knew I was going to be a coach, right? So then we had package plays for Gilstrap, and obviously he's playing defense, playing corner at the time. Well, Gilstrap met with me, so I could tell him where to line up, what to do. And then so, every little thing we had for him, it was a few things that year because he's the fastest guy in the country. You don't look like it now, but he could fly. But he's the fastest guy in the country coming out. So, he met with me and told him and kind of lined him up and all that stuff. And then we played him and gave it to him. He took off. And, it was kind of like the Bo Jackson moment where he couldn't slow down. He ran through the tunnel. It was real similar. So, but yeah.
Do you still feel the same way about Western Kentucky now compared to then as a player? I'm sure it was a very heated rivalry.
Yeah, back then it was 90 miles of hate. So it was that was kind of the way they deemed it. But no, I mean I got friends that coach there. I know players that play there. Obviously, you're talking about teams that have been in this league for a long time and made that transition when everybody came in the league. It was us, it was them, and a couple other teams. We've kind of been in this league for a little bit longer. So, I look forward to the opportunity to play them. Great coach staff, great team. And so, excited about the challenge that we got ahead.
Anything else for Coach Coleman?
Thanks, Coach.
Yes.
Appreciate y'all letting me talk to y'all.
So pre-game media availability this week for next week's game against Western Kentucky. Keegan had 2 sacks against UConn, and has kind of been shown out here in his senior season. So Keegan, just opening statement about how you think things have been going so far. I know a couple setbacks, but just kind of give us that, and then we'll open it up to the room for some questions.
I think as far as how we're doing, I think we're doing everything right. As far as like organizational wise, I think we just got to do the little things better. Small details. Get back to our fundamentals. We had a player led meeting the other day, and we just talked about how we got to get back to the standard. And there's too many small, dumb mistakes that we just got to fix.
Who called that meeting?
No, the leadership council. A couple guys that are announced as captains on the team.
Who were they?
I think it's about 12 of us.
12? Okay.
Yeah, it's like me, Sue, D. Hill, Joe Pazinski, Lights. A couple guys. It's like kicker, Noah Grant, a couple of the older dudes. Jackson Verdugo's in there. He's one of the freshmen.
And do you feel it was productive? What came out of that?
I think it was very productive. We just talked about what our standard is and how we haven't been meeting the standard and how we can meet the standard and we should be meeting the standard, and just getting back to that and how we've kind of lost track of that, and how everything that we have and that we want to achieve is still in front of us. We're now just starting to get into the conference play, so we can still we won the Shula Bowl. We got to put that past us. We got to look forward, and we just got to if we want to go to a bowl game, we still have that opportunity. We want to win a conference championship, we still have that opportunity.
You were getting after the quarterback, but there seemed like some holes in the secondary. How much do you attribute that to, like, Shamir was not there, Blaze not there? How much do you attribute to that?
I think when it comes to certain guys not being on the field, I don't really think that has a big part to play in it. I think it's more of the details and the assignment. And when you look at our secondary guys, even the guys that back me up, or they're just as good as us. So I think that we just got to focus in, like I said, the small details, man. Just trying to do everything that's asked of us. If you got the running back, get on the running back. You can't when you have teams like a good team like UConn, when you bust the coverage, they're going to score. So.
What stands out to you about Western's offense?
They run the way they run the ball. Like they have a great pass game. But I think at the end of the day, we just got to take it one day at a time. We're still preparing for them, still watching them.
How important is it going to be for you guys? Obviously, McIver's not a guy who's going to run a lot, so how important is it to kind of get him uncomfortable? You guys apply that pressure, 2 hands to force, maybe some mistakes.
Yeah, like you said, everything starts up front. So as long as we affect him, I think the game we can control the line of scrimmage, and that's what we will do.
You've been here for a while. You probably remember the last time you guys were out there. How much is that maybe on your minds, or is that completely past you guys and just focusing, on this one coming up?
Yeah, like you said, just focus on what's coming up. I don't really like to think about the past. You got to focus on what's in front of you. The past is the past. You can't change it. You just take advantage of the opportunities given to you. And like we got one game ahead of us, you got to take advantage of it. Got to go and win that one.
Keegan, the sacks you had this last game, were you consider they more bull rushes, or can you break down a little bit the couple sacks you had?
I think a lot of my, my plays that I make are they come about because the guys around me, And I think I got a lot. Like you see the one sack I had. You know, Keaton Simmons, he was right at the ball too, so he made the quarterback step up. I was a little bit underneath him. Same thing with Zion. You know, my first sack, Zion was right there too. So I think we just, as long as we rush as a unit, and one of us are going to get home. And I don't care if it's me. I don't care if it's Zion, Sue, Quay, Kenton, Steve. You know, as long as somebody gets home, we're winning. That's my goal. I just want to win.
What's it been like working with that group so far this year?
I love those guys. Best group I've ever been a part of. You know, I'm fortunate enough that they call me their captain, but I'm no different from them. Those guys are great. I love being around them every single day. When I'm having a bad day, something goes wrong off the field, you know, I want to be in the locker room with them.
With Brian Blades out these last few weeks, have you taken up an even bigger leadership role in practices? And who are some of the other tenured guys on the defense that have taken up those bigger leadership roles?
Brian Blades, you know, he's out at the practice field. I'm always getting on him. I'm like, come on, man. You know, you can get in there. And he's going to step up, and he's going to do what he's got to do. He's got a little setback, a little adversity. But dudes like Johnny Chaney, me, Sue, kind of the older guys that have been around a lot of football. But we even got some younger guys. You know, we got McGrew. He's always talking. He's always getting the guys riled up on the side before practice. Like, we emphasize a lot in fourth quarter. And, you know, Robert Williams, he's the main guy doing the chant. So it's not just me. It's the whole defense. You know, we pride ourselves on bringing the juice, and that's just what we're going to keep doing.
How do you feel like you've adapted to these weekday games now? I think you've been doing it for now the past 2 years.
Yeah.
How's that gone for, you know, having that experience? How much does it help having that experience for that?
To me, it's not really different because Coach Simmons, you know, he does a great job of, like, I think today's Thursday. But in actuality, in our schedule, it's Monday. So it feels like today's Monday. So it doesn't really affect me in that sense. You know, I'm gonna have my off day today, and then tomorrow we get, you know, it'd be a hard practice, and then Wednesday we'll go out there and have another hard practice, and Thursday and Friday. When in reality, that's not the days it is.
What are some of the biggest similarities in the offenses between UConn and Western Kentucky? Obviously, you have a couple quarterbacks that like to stay in the
Yeah.
pocket, air it out.
Yeah, like you said, quarterback play is similar. West Kentucky is very good at throwing the ball, so you know. We've seen teams like that, and at the end of the day, like I said, we just gotta focus on the call. Whatever the call is, execute it.
What was really clicking for you in that game against UConn personally? 2-sack day for you.
What was clicking for me, I think, you know, off-road games. I love off-road games, on the road games, and I think for me it was just, I think I was just blessed with opportunities that I took advantage of. You know, with the plays that I had, I showed up and made.
I think you're only half a sack away from tying last season, a full sack away from breaking. Just talking about being this on pace to smash a record for you in your senior season.
Yeah, I'm not trying to really focus on the stats. I'm trying to focus on winning. So, you know, it's my last season. I just want to go out there and win. Is you know, if I have a 7-sack day, if I have a no sack day, you know, as long as we win the game, that's all I really care about. That's the only stat I care about is if you know, if we're getting a W.
One thing I noticed against UConn, and I know it's a focus for you guys, but just talk about how important it'll be against WKU when you do get to the quarterback of going for the ball.
Yeah.
You were able to get the ball out. I have no idea how Kenton, the play before they hit the long touchdown, doesn't strip the quarterback. He made a great play to keep the ball in his hands because it was literally like picture perfect strip sack. So just talk a little bit about the importance of getting the ball out if you do get to the quarterback.
You know, that's one thing Coach KU emphasizes a lot. You know, when you go back to his days, I think at one point he led the Pac-12 or whatever conference he was in forced fumbles, and a lot of those were strip sacks. Every day, you know, he talks about punching the ball out. That's one thing you can make a great play, like even on my sacks. He's like, get the damn ball out, you know. So that stems from Coach KU, and I think he does a great job of emphasizing that.
Cool. Any more questions for Keegan?